Hello and welcome to the Gone Traveling Podcast. We are looking at the 25-26 season of the BKT EuroCup. This is episode 18, and we are looking at round 15. Whew, what a round! We are talking about it, we being myself, David Hein, Hein News, as well as Taking the Charge, the Substack. And with me, as always, Marco Munno, communication specialist and collaborator with Giorna Tatipo. Marco, what a round of games. We had some, we expected some fireworks, etc. But I didn't really have this group of games on my card. What do you think?
Yeah,
First impression. First
absolutely.
impression.
Well, three buzzer beaters. How many times it can happen? I don't know, and the number is really, really low of other occasion in which that can happen. And not only because there are big stories also on the top of the two groups. So really,
Yeah. So we
a lot of
have
things.
we have leaders Jerusalem and Bourg both losing. Besiktas becoming the third team to qualify for the playoffs, and through their win, Bourg lost tiebreaker. Besiktas, they go to the top of the table. As you mentioned, three buzzer beaters: DJ Stewart of Trento, Mark Smith, Lewis Olinde of Manresa, which we'll get to all three of those actually. And Hamburg. Congratulations to Northern Germany. The Hamburg, where I used to live, happy for the city to finally taste victory. 0-14, no longer they have a victory. So, just for people who might not have been following the course of this podcast, what we do in reviewing the round is we each have a game, and then we also pick one player or two players as well. So we cover six games, and there was so much that going on uh, this round that we are going to not talk about something. So just to I'll get those out of the way. We are not going to talk about Borg losing to Chemnitz. We're not going to talk about Besiktas winning a big game over Buducnost. And we're also not going to talk about the thrilling double overtime victory by Aris at Slask to stay in the running. So if you're waiting for those games to be talked about, sorry, we've chosen other games to talk about. Not that those are not important, which is why I wanted to get them out ahead of time. I always let Marco start, and we're going to let you. You wanted to talk about Cedevita's victory over Cluj, 86-80. Cedevita sweeps the series with Cluj. They're 10-5, 3 wins in the last four. Cluj down to 8-7, lost their last three road games. An up and down game. And yeah, Cedevita coming through with the victory. I'll let you talk about it.
Yes, there was also win on the difference between the two teams before the round, and we got a bit of great offense against great defense because we got the second best offense of the competition, that is the one of Cluj, and the second best defense after the marvelous one of Berg, that was the one by Cedevita. And the game, we can say that did not disappoint. It was a nice scoring game. And Cedevita had DJ Stewart that was doubtful at the beginning of the game. And instead, he was one of the two stand up players. And we had like two standout players for Cedevita. There were Stewart and Nikolic. And it seems like the two guys for the two times in which Cedevita had to win the game because uh, they had a strong start. They went after 12 minutes. They went like 28-12. So it was a huge deficit, and in a game that bring them all to the Tivoli Hall, that was the uh, former house of the Slovenian basketball. And then we got Cluj that really flips everything. And in the third quarter, they went up by 10 41 to 51. So it seems like the game shifted, and then Cedevita had to win it again, and they started to build up the offense again, because the game ends 86 to 80, so it was an offensive game rather than a defensive game, with a high score. And at the end, Nikolic from the free throw line gave the win to Cedevita. He scored 24. Stewart scored 25. So it's 49 combined, and it's a lot. And that was really the boost that Cedevita was needing, because we got the repercussions on the standings. And now Cedevita is really trailing Bahcesehir for the second place, and instead Cluj is in the we can say big group, from 9 victories to 7 victories, and there are 4 teams in that situation, in that little group, and one of those will be out from the playoff picture. And now Cluj seems like uh, not out, but they're really in danger from the playoff spot that they seem to be kinda lock before. But the combination of the other results put them in the mix, and then that's tough loss also, because you were winning at the third quarter in your field, that was the offensive one, because you started scoring, you had 50 points at the third quarter, so it seems like a great margin. And then you weren't able to contain Cedevita, and it seems like you can pick your victory away. That would be really, really important. Nothing is loose, but yeah, Cedevita proved that they can really be a threat.
Cedevita, 18 offensive rebounds, forced 23 turnovers. You're not going to win game if you're Cluj when you do that, even if you're shooting better. You mentioned Cluj is kind of in trouble. They only have the 1 game lead over Aris, and then they're behind Manresa and Reyer. They play, and we'll obviously get to the schedule later on for round 16. But they play at Manresa, then they play at Jerusalem, and then finish off with Aris. So they do have a 10-point victory over Aris in the first game in Greece. So in that regard, they do have some pretty, they do have a nice advantage of them. But we could come down to that final game being the decider. I want to talk about the dramatics over in Lithuania. Trento, I'm sure Coach Kent Castellari is starting to have a little bit harder time with his blood pressure. 2 buzzer beaters in a row. Last week we saw Khalif Battle put it up right before the buzzer. And the guy who missed that shot, the initial shot, was DJ Stewart. But this time around, DJ comes through with the buzzer beater 3. Lietkabelis had already been eliminated after the Chemnitz win on Tuesday. Trento, though, this was kind of a trap game, just like last week. Paninios already eliminated. Lietkabelis already eliminated. So they've won 6 of 7, and they're at 9-6, looking pretty good in Group B. Trento had a 16-point lead and lost it. Lietkabelis started raining threes, 22-3 run. And then, Kulame hits the three-pointer to give him a 93-91 lead with 18 seconds. And then, Stewart comes in, hits the 3 at the buzzer, and all is right in the world. And what I liked about this victory also for Trento is that they played without Jordan Bailly, their starting center, and then Salome Maugbe had foul trouble for much of the game, so they had to really go small lineup with Peyton Albridge and Andrei Yakimovsky really, trying to do the work in the paint. Devontae Jones was just amazing, 24 points, 10 assists, 43 PIR. Stewart ended with 22. Sheik Nyang, 14 points as well. Yeah, just an impressive victory by Trento, and they're right there knocking on the door of getting into it doesn't seem like they're going to be able to catch the top two spot, being two games behind Bourg and Besiktas. But they're right there, looking at a possibility of third place. Anything you want to talk about this game, or should we move on to yours?
Well, we had some voices that of a bit of a turmoil be in Trento after the game of the weekend in the domestic league, and some discussions on some of the U.S. players on their contribution, and I think that was a great response from the whole group because that put them in a really nice position now into the standing of the Group B. And yeah, then you got the two of the most talked player, that was Badal and that was Stewart, that really scored two buzzer beaters in two EuroCup games, and so that was a great response for them, and that really puts the team into a great spot. So that's the way to react, I think.
You want to talk about another buzzer beater winner? Manresa takes down Neptunus at home, 97-96. 9-6 now for Manresa, 6-1 at home, 6 wins in the last 7 games, so very hot. Neptunus 6-9, 2 games behind Reyer and Cluj. Neptunus lost a 17-point lead late in the third quarter. Zane Waterman hits a three to make it a 97-96 game. But Luis Olinde hits the tough layup at the buzzer, 26 points, 9 rebounds. You want to talk about the German who made a big move this summer, leaving Berlin, where he'd been for seemingly ages, to go to Spain to test the waters outside of the country. Talk about Luis Olinde.
Yeah, absolutely. We always talking in the last weeks that Manresa is really on a hot team. Now they got the third win in a row, and that was really not really a win until the last second, because they were really trailing even at the beginning of the fourth quarter by 10 points, and then they got also a lot of people missing. There were Benitez out, Ubal out, Perez out, Brooks out. So in this scenario, you really need someone who had to step up, and that was the absolutely the all in the game. We can see the buzzer beater at the end, but he pretty much rewrites every personal high into the competition, and it's also he seems every time like a glue guy, even if when he was playing in EuroLeague, even if he was not really standing out, but it was really hard to count him out when you need a good team player. And now he was really stepping up through the whole game, because he scored 24 points, 9 rebounds, and also a PAR of 32, and PR and points are is personalized. And when the team needed, he really stepped up. And Marisa anyway scored 97 points. There are a lot, and when you are short hands, you it's really hard to reach that. And Olinde was really also a guy that was never playing outside his own country. He had some tryouts in NBA, but it's really his first season out of Germany, and he's not really, not even a similar nation, because Spain and Germany had their differences, so you have to adapt. And it seems like after the beginning, he adapted, he shown his versatility once again, and he also had the prize of the buzzer beater that give him the last page of the chapter of the game.
Yeah, I think it's great for him to leave Germany to see something else, and also take more of a responsibility as a foreign player. You're as an import, you have a different responsibility, and not going to say that that he wasn't being challenged or anything like that in Berlin, but Berlin had also dropped down to the Basketball Champions League and everything else, so it was time for him to go. So happy to see that. I was actually doing a game report on Cedevita Cluj, and unfortunately, so behind the curtain, what I try to do is I try to not watch. If I know that I'm going to have some time, I'm going to try not to watch the results of the other games, and then try to watch the games so that I don't know who's winning. And so, unfortunately, while I was watching the Cluj game, the announcer kind of was saying what was going on with the Jerusalem against Bahcesehir game, and so I kind of knew what was happening, and I wasn't 100% sure that Bahcesehir was going to win, but I knew that they were leading everything. I knew this was going to be a good game. This was a fantastic game. I was super impressed with the level of this game. This had championship game. This had finals. Really written all over it. Jerusalem comes in 11 game winning streak. And Bahcesehir had been kind of caught themselves again. They had that tough little spell, and but Jerusalem just couldn't get it done offensively, which is the more surprising thing. 94-82, the game was played in Belgrade. Come back to that in a second. The 94 points was the most points allowed since their last lost, which was 101-94 against Manresa in Spain back in round 3. Bahcesehir now 3 wins in the last 4 games at 10-5. Malachi Flynn 22 points. At the other end, Kadeem Carrington 25 points. I want to talk about Caleb Homesley. This is a guy that has, he was all EuroCup second team back in 21-22 when he was in Hamburg. Went to Zenit, went to Tofas, and then, took Gran Canaria to the brink of this championship last year. So you knew that when Bahcesehir brought him in, that he can perform at a high level. 16 points, 3 assists. He scored the first 9 points for Bahcesehir in the third quarter when they kind of took charge. It was a 21-9 third quarter. And, Homesley with that long, lengthy frame and athleticism, just kind of took over. Congratulations to him. Congratulations to Bahcesehir. Next up is, Jerusalem. People might look at the group and say, okay, well, they're already set. They're already through. They have a two game lead. It was well, it was a 3 game lead. So, the group's already done, but they're actually playing for much more. And because if they have the best record, then they actually have home court advantage in the finals if they reach the finals. And so there is something bigger, 12-3, and then you look at 11-4 with Besiktas and Bourg. They still really want to win out to get home court advantage. Which brings me to the point. This game was in Belgrade because it was an Israeli against Turkish team. If EuroCup officials, they have to be really racking their brains about what's going to happen, about what could maybe happen. It would not surprise me at all if Jerusalem faced one of the Turkish teams or more in the playoffs. Bahcesehir, Besiktas, Turk Telekom. Imagine we have a best of 3 semifinals or even finals in front of basically no fans. So this is not a situation that EuroCup has to be happy about. But political situation, everything, you just don't know how they can resolve it. You don't really necessarily want to go to neutral, but you're going to have to. So, it's a situation that we're going to have to watch with those 3 quality Turkish teams and really Jerusalem being one of the top teams as well. We could even have 2 rounds of Turkish against Jerusalem. So thoughts on the game, thoughts on that.
Yes, and last but not least, we got really the first EuroCup win of the season for Hamburg. We mentioned a lot of times that yeah, they were winless until now, and instead they lived their best 4 days of the season because they won into the domestic league against Ulm, so another EuroCup team, and then they grabbed their first win. And the guy that I think is to highlight from the game is Zacharie Perrin, and we talked about him when we were talking about the best youngsters.
Rising star,
Yeah,
rising star.
yeah, the rising stars of the whole competition, the young guns that are really standing up, and now he really grabs his first win of the season into the cup, rewriting basically his career eyes on Eurocup about points. He scored 21 in just 22 minutes. In PAR, he had 33, and he had a double double of 21 points and 12 rebounds, and he highlighted the weakness of Reyer on the paint. He was really effective there. We already saw Venice struggling sometimes at rebound, and Zacharie with his lefty hand, with his left touch, and his power in the paint really highlighted that. And he had a lot of help during the game, about the scoring side, because he was not really the only one that was regularly scoring. There was also Daniels,
Tevan Daniels.
uh, but he was the guy that really was effective when needed for Hamburg. And with that victory, in which Hamburg was also really taking care of the ball, that was another weak point, the turnovers. And then they had really only 8. They really put Venice in a dangerous situation on the standings. And I'm always referring to the standings because the clock is ticking, and now you have to pay attention to the race of the playoff, to the playoff spots. And I thought a lot of people thought that that could be really a result for Venice that can really put them in a good place, winning at the the home of the last team of the group. Instead, it didn't happen, and then you got Aris on the back that is really pushing their way to a playoff spot. So a lot of things are still to be written off on the Group A, and the Frenchman was really instrumental to the whole group. At least at the end, Hamburg is really deciding in their way the group, or at least the playoff race. We will see.
Uh, so Hamburg actually also beat Alba Berlin. Berlin was their first victory of the season. They had a long losing streak in Germany as well. So they had victories over Berlin and Ulm so far this season. Uh, Massive loss. Bad loss for Reyer. Because this was a must win. You could not afford, like we were talking about, right? The Italian colleagues, Trento. They beat Paninios and they beat Lietkabelis. The lower teams, they had to win those games. Reyer losing this. Hey, they're 2-6 on the road. So if they don't make it, it's because of their road record: 6-1 at home, 2-6 on the road. And they still have Cedevita at home against Cedevita at Manresa. They did win by 4 points against Manresa, so they have that. and then Jerusalem too. So you have to, you have two games, you have three, the final three games are against three of the top four teams in the group, and you go and lose this game. And then, like you said, lurking there is Aris. Aris won both of the games against Reyer. So they have the tiebreaker over Reyer. So this was a massively disappointing, deflating loss for Reyer, and it would not shock me right now if this costs them the playoffs. Perrin, he 21 years old, has been fantastic all season. You know, we haven't talked about him yet because we only talk about winning teams. 21 points, 12 rebounds. It was his fourth double double. Back to back games, he had 19 and 13 against Cluj. 13 and a half points per game, 8.5 rebounds. He's second best in the league at 21 in rebounding, behind only Austin Wiley of Jerusalem. He's ninth best in PIR at 18.7. So happy that we can finally talk about him because he's been doing a fantastic job. We did a feature on him a few weeks ago, so go back and check out a feature on him. I'm going to stay actually in Germany and talk actually about the German team that they actually just beat over the weekend. That's ratiopharm Ulm. They so London had been eliminated going into the game. Sorry, no, London was eliminated with the loss. And what a thriller, 72-73. Ulm win on the road. London 5-10 now eliminated. Ulm 7-8, one game behind Chemnitz, but have the tiebreaker. 9 points was the biggest lead of the games. Christian Singfelder 23.7 rebounds. Ledlum and Jensen both with 17. Tariq Phillip, an amazing game, 19 points, some massive shots. Had this massive dunk in the third quarter. Three straight baskets in the fourth. Then you get the big three-pointer by Phillip. It has Copperbox going crazy to go up by two. Ledlum splits the two free throws, and then Shavar, who'd been shooting 86% on the season from the free throw lines, go 0 of 2 with 6 seconds left. And then Singfelder misses the layup, but Mark Smith is there for the putback. London 14 of 28, 50% from the free throw line. They've been horrible all season, 65%. But seeing Reynolds miss those two with 6 seconds left after missing the first, he even mouthed "wow" on the broadcast. You can see him say that, and yeah, so sad to see London be eliminated. They had they have a great roster. They just haven't been able to stay healthy. Mark Smith has been really great this season for Ulm. This is a guy that came over, that came back to Germany, had played at Göttingen, so he kind of knew the league, and he's a guy that they really need. They really rely on him. They really rely on Ledlum and Simon. He missed the last game, but he's averaging almost 14 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. And he's been fantastic for them, and he was in the right place at the right time for them to get this victory. And so you just gotta tip your hat to them and Ulm. As bad as they were, remember I think they lost 10 of 11 games, in Germany and the Euro Cup. They're right there. They're right there on the door knocking, hoping to maybe sneak in. If they can get into a tiebreak with Chemnitz, they have the tiebreaker. With all of those kids, if they're able to sneak through, they got a massive game against Bourg coming up. But they have Buducnost and Trento. So if they make the playoffs, they will have earned their spot in the playoffs for sure. Anything else before we move on to? Did you want to talk about any of the things that we didn't talk? Any of the other stories that you wanted that we didn't sort of cover?
Well, we always was saying, at least at the beginning, that Aris can really sneak up, and it seems like they really had now the occasion. I mean, a double overtime win. That doesn't didn't happen so often, and also with the combination of the other results, it seems they can really go into the playoff with their new new team. I mean, they changed the coach, they are changing the players, and we can see Jones have now the help from Noah, the help from Andusic, and they can really, if they will make the playoff, I'm still betting on them. Not really for the winning, but from mm, making some result that you don't expect. I'm always on. I'm still on them.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems like last year, I think it seems like we were really wondering who's going to even make the playoffs. Right now, there's still 3 games left, 3 rounds left, and really, okay, you can say Neptuna still has a chance, but I think they're kind of out because they'd have to win both all 3 of their games pretty much. So really, I think it's in both groups. It's seven teams for the 6 spots. Again, Neptunus is still sort of in the running in Group A, but more or less it looks like seven teams for the 6 spots. All right, let's move to round 16. And as excited we were about round 15, 16 has some big time games too. Wondering what your thoughts are on some of the main ones you're watching.
Yeah, I was talking about Aris, and they will go to the home of Bahcesehir. So I think this is the one game that can really impact the whole Group A result standings, and then I'm watching that one. And also there is the Venice Cedevita about the Group A that can really impact the standing, and not only. And I will leave that to you because it's really a tricky day for the Group A.
Yeah, Ryer, like I said, 6-1 at home. So, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they take down Cedevita, which would really, breathe new life into their playoff chances. You have Manresa, the other big game in Group A is Manresa, 9-6, Cluj 8-7. Cluj won by 24, so it doesn't seem like Manresa would be able to grab the tiebreaker. Over in Group B, you have Trento, who's on a roll against Besiktas, who, as great as they are, 11-4, they're only 3-4 on the road. So Trento stealing a road game, a road victory, a home victory over Besiktas, not out of the question with the way Besiktas is unable to play on the road. Buducnost at 9-6, Chemnitz at 8-7. Chemnitz know that Ulm right behind them have the tiebreaker, so they don't want to get down and go even with Ulm. Buducnost's 13-point tiebreaker advantage going into that one, and then Bourg against Ulm. Bourg have shown some signs of that they can be beaten. Ulm sort of been able to find if Ulm have everybody on board, and it sounds like Vitamin actually is going to be able to play this weekend in the German league. So if they have Vitamin, that's another weapon that they could use. And those guys I don't think they're really, do they have any sort of difference? No, they're 3-5 at home, 4-3 on the road. So, home road the splits, they don't really have that. So loaded game day. And so just can't wait. It's going to be more fun. We're getting down to the nitty gritty, where every game really, almost every game, is going to have some impact on the standings. All right, we talked a lot about some amazing round of action. Uh, let's call it a day. Marco, why don't you let everybody know where they can find you on social media, and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah, you can find me basically on every social media as Marco A Munno, Munno, but mostly on X.
And I am on Twitter at Hein News, HeinNews, HeinNews, Hein News. Yeah, and then obviously, if you're listening to this, you've somehow found us through the Taking the Charge Substack. Those are the 2 places where I am most active. Everything I do post on Taking the Charge also goes on Twitter, so that's the main place to find me. All right. So this has been episode 18, round 15 of the BKT EuroCup season. This has been the Gone Traveling Show. Thank you for listening. Appreciate your interest, and we'll be back at you next week to talk about hopefully another thrilling round of action.